First top 8 Ritual Beast deck for the regional circuit has arrived. Make sure you guys smash the like and crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. Now, I'm going to tell you this. We're seeing Ritual Beast be the surprise deck out of this event. I gotta clap for it. You know, I had everybody out here telling me that, you know, don't worry, Robbie, all this Ice Barrier stuff, Ice Barrier Runic, it's being talked about everywhere. It's gonna top these regionals this weekend, and you're gonna crap your pants. You're never gonna see this coming. And I was like, all right, sure, Ice Barriers suck, but you know what? It's okay. I'll wait and see how it goes. And there has not been a single Ice Barrier top cut finish out here. Saved my life. So maybe the Terminal Revenge hype train that was set up on the Ice Barrier stuff that didn't actually need to exist because the deck's not that good. Guess what? It failed to live up to those expectations set by those players. Same Infernoid, I wish would have done a little bit better, but you know what? It's fine, and you ain't going to see no Gen X top cuts out here. One hand trap, that deck's donezo. So the rest of your top cut for this event, you had 3 Snake Eyes present, which I'm not all that surprised if you're looking at any sort of metagame presence right now. That's what you're going to be seeing. You're going to be seeing Snake Eyes, doing the Snake Eyes things. It's going to be a pretty easy day, and we're just going to call it that. We also had 1 Fire King out here. So your standard, I feel like your 4 fire decks, just kind of the Fire Nation still attacking. We also had a Labyrinth deck in the top cut, which is kind of interesting to say the least out here. I'm very happy to still see that, you know, with everything that's been shaping up out here for the power scaling of the meta. Oh, okay. We also had Ubel and branded good stuff as well. I mean, your top cut here is actually pretty strong. And I'll give it to these players out here that have been messing around with these ratios. This has been some pretty interesting stuff to see. Let's pass on over to those deck lists. So starting things off here, we have standard Fire King goods. Why are we only playing 1 Moonlit? Okay, well, I guess our hand trap ratios are pretty interesting in terms of, you know, what we're going to mess around with to find those optimized ratios for what you want to be seeing in here. 1 Big Bird is fine, still dedicating 2 slots to the Kirin. None of this really changes all that much. Also kind of interesting that, you know, we are side decking the 1 copy of the Snake Eyes Diabellstar. It's kind of gives you the chance to kind of mold your skin and kind of turn into a little bit more of a consistent version of the regular build. There's good old Ambler Whale still doing his thing, actually focusing on triple crossouts for the board breakers. And we have Metaltronus down here as well. This card kind of did disappear a little bit from time, but it is kind of nice to see. I also see, hey, cross out for the 1 of Skill Drain. Yeah, we've come to that point now in the format that, you know, you can just cross out your Skill Drain and really just disrupt any Runic player you're playing against. Okay. Ubel. So, these Ubel decks have been getting a lot more streamlined, by the way, since, you know, the jerk has arrived to the format here. I will say that Phantom did not really... It had a huge splash on the meta. Like, it is a game-warping card, but this card hasn't spun our format on its head like I think people kind of expected it to. Because once Ubel touched down in the OCG, this card left ripples everywhere. Like, people were absolutely devastated by how this card warped the meta. But you step around from how things are looking right now, and yeah, it did strengthen the Ubel decks and did put them back more on the map, but this card did not warp the meta in any sort of physical capacity that, you know, we saw with the rest of the meta. Now, oh my gosh, the hand traps, the triple Ash, the triple Veiler, the triple Ogre, and the triple Moonlit Chill, and the triple Imperm. Yeah, this is just the current state of Yu-Gi-Oh, folks. You need to be maximizing on this stuff. 1 base Ubel, the triple Spirit with the 1 Terra Incarnate. I still do like the Ultimate Nightmare. I'm not a registered Ubel main or anything, but that's fine. You have been seeing some people kind of start to mess around with the ratio of this. We're also only playing 2 Nightmare Pain. I like 3 Pain, honestly. I guess there are just some situations where maybe you'll draw multiples of this, but I don't know. I think you want to make sure that you can see this in case, you know, maybe your opponent has some sort of interruption with it, and you can possibly have the extra for the next turn. And of course, hey look, another deck that gets to play some copies of the Skill Drain in the meta. Isn't it really fun just watching your opponent really just hate you for activating this card? Okay, I also see, this Almirage little love that this deck has been getting. Just convert your little Dark Beckoning Beast on into it and proceed to laugh at your opponent. Okay, good stuff. Ooh, our Ritual Beast deck. Now this is a little bit interesting, because I did not expect to see anybody dedicating evenly matches in this deck. I honestly, I guess it's kind of one of the things you have to think about out here is if you're choosing to play this deck, you know, big boards that your opponent might be setting up are probably going to be an issue for you. So I guess you do have to make some sort of, you know, decision trees in here if you're going to play these. And honestly, I think this was probably a good call. We have seen the 10th place list that was messing around with some different ratios, but I think this is fine. Also, triple inheritance. None of these builds I've seen have even given any thought to playing any of the other Ritual Beast stuff. I do think that having the other cards to easier cheat this out were really cool early concepts in the OCG. But most of the builds have just kind of gone ahead and cut that out, so you don't have to worry about it. I also see Nemesis Corridor here. So all of these players are definitely agreeing that the way to go about playing this deck is being able to drop the Colossus on the field. Yeah, there is, interestingly enough, we're not doing any of the Protos stuff in here. You're just doing the Corridor with the flag. Obviously, the flag being able to be toggled off of the Banshee is actually incredibly important. But you would think maybe having the Protos in the side deck as an option wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Also, once again, these builds are still focusing only on the one steeds. I do like multiple steeds. I've been pretty vocal about that. I think it's a cute little interaction, but to be honest with you, having the one, I think is fine. It is interesting to see how the TCG version of this deck has been shaping up, and we're going to continue to see this deck be a nice little challenger to the meta until Fiendsmith comes out and its dashing hopes and dreams get crushed back into the rogue side of the world. Ooh, we have the more boring old fun for you here. So the standard Snake Eyes approach, nothing wrong with this, honestly. We're rounding out at 43 cards. We are playing still triple Ochre, okay. We're doing 2 Fenrir with the 1 Unicorn with the double Ray Sloth and the 1 copy of the Burst. We're doing the 6 card splash, that's fine. 2 copies of Bonfire. I think you can get away with the 2. I don't really see a point with like needing to bulk down on this too much. And also can save you a little bit of money on your car insurance. Yeah, thanks, Geico. 43, yeah, I don't see anything else with this. We're actually punting the crossouts down here to the side, which I think is a good choice as well. And of course, we're decrowing the Bell, the Moonlit Chill, all targets for this. And we have a nice little burn card here for our Sprint. Hi, buddy. I'm really happy to see Sprint seeing some play down here. Gotta love the degeneracy of pinging your opponent for a nice little 500 and offering them the handshake and just being like, all right. And last but not least here, we have a 60-card Drytron Voiceless Voice deck. Not in my wildest imaginations have I thought about combining these 2 decks. But I'll be honest with you, yeah, I can see the synergy here, because, I mean, obviously, the low being able to be like a backup sub-package if something goes wrong on the Drytron side of things is pretty good. Mr. More Factor Pain here. Gotta love the main phase skip your opponent, force your opponent into the battle phase, force them into main phase too. Yeah, that's gonna be really devastating. We also have the crossouts present here, so that, well, I mean, what card in your 60-card deck are you going to need to call? You have the imagine the world where you need the Nib in the deck and you do draw the 1 of. Also have the 1 draw the 1 Ash. Like, their hand trap ratios is the 1 ofs in here. Also, we're only playing 1 copy of the Herald of Orange Light. That is interesting. Okay, so they're focusing more on, like, I guess board breaker sort of stuff in here. This is a science experiment list, I would call this. It was good enough to make top 32. It's good enough to kind of make people go, what in the world are we doing here? And I think that's good. Also, hi, Boral Sword. I'm really happy to see you're back for the little OTK fun. Outside of that, though, this is to see Ritual Beast locking in a top 8 finish, you know, seeing this pile doing well. A lot of cool options out here to really, you know, do well with. So what do you guys think? Please, comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.